You are welcome to yet another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. While the Chicago appeal judges were quick to come up with a decision to uphold the trial court verdict amidst contestation and criticism by those who believe R. Kelly deserved an acquittal, the prolonged delay demonstrated by the New York appeal judges has seen many try to interpret the event, with most of them describing it as a sign of victory for the R&B King. It's however important to note that this assumption is not simply based on optimism but the many facts surrounding the case against R. Kelly, and most especially the New York chapter that is still being deliberated on. With or without delay, it is only logical to think that a fair appeal judges panel, if critical enough to deeply analyze the events that took place during the New York trial process, how they were conducted, the kind of witnesses presented by government and their testimonies, as well as what was presented in court as evidence for the alleged criminal acts, will not waste time to dismiss the charges and overthrow the trial court decision. The Chicago appeal judges may have wasted their opportunity to make things right, but the New York team is probably still reviewing the transcripts and appeal arguments before making a proper and informed decision that will not further disgrace the entire Department of Justice. Remember, when we speak of the New York case and trial, we are speaking of the RICO charges, which suggest that R. Kelly operated a criminal enterprise in the biggest lie of the century. We all know that the only business R. Kelly did operate was his music business, and that every single person he hired was meant to ensure the success of this value chain. R. Kelly was never involved in any form of organized crime, be it drug trafficking, human trafficking, or the championing any religious cult like his accusers suggest. To lock him up for RICO violation, therefore, is a huge mistake by the Department of Justice that will sooner than later be highly regrettable. Many may wonder why such irrelevant charges may have been introduced by government onto R. Kelly's charge sheet, but the answer to this is simple and straightforward. The government knows well that the only crime R. Kelly is guilty of is loving multiple women, which is not necessarily a crime by law, and whatever may have gone wrong between the king of R&B and his ex-girlfriends can only be regarded simple and forgivable misdemeanors that do not necessarily violate the laws of this land. It's normal for love to diminish and for lovers to separate or fight, and when they do, it's expected that one party may remain dissatisfied and, like R. Kelly's ex-girlfriends, turn against the other partners in a sort of blame game. This, however, does not make everything they say gospel truth, and in most cases, they will lie against their former partners as a way of revenge. For the New York Court of Brooklyn to choose to believe the witness statements without evidential proof, therefore, is not only wrong, but also a serious miscarriage of justice. And for those reasons, therefore, the New York verdict ought to be overturned. Also, when we speak of the New York case against R. Kelly, we speaking of the Mann Act charges, which, like the racketeering ones, were completely inappropriate for the case. I'll be damned if the appeal court misses this one. Popularly used as a takedown weapon against black celebrities in this country, the Mann Act, also known as the white slavery law, again like the RICO violation, fails to apply to R. Kelly's case. The introduction of this charge suggests that R. Kelly found convenience in transporting women to specific states where he could violate them and face no consequence. This would only be possible if the laws he allegedly broke were non-consequential in the destination states where he allegedly committed the said crimes. But in one case where it is alleged that his crime was exposing an alleged victim to an STD, the same act remains criminal in the destination state, and this means R. Kelly wouldn't have found any leverage in traveling to this state to commit such crimes. Without a motivation, therefore, the Mann Act idea becomes an act of nothing more than framing the R&B King. Remember, the purpose of transportation should be to commit crime, and this was never the case. It's also important to remember that this same Mann Act has a bad history of being used as a weapon against black celebrities, as was the case with Jack Johnson among others. The way racist prosecutors jumped onto this law when it had just been enacted in 1910 to use it against the first black heavyweight boxing champion scares the hell out of every black man that has read this story. One may think that the law was enacted on purpose to sabotage black success and preserve white supremacy, which is likely the sad truth. Also, when we speak of the New York court case, we're speaking of the falsified forced labor charges, which will never make sense at all. It's the very first time we learn of forced labor being a one-time event and not a condition that lasts days and months. Assuming this had lasted months anyway, to assume forced labor, there must be a pattern of behavior that suggests a person was forced to perform a certain task or multiple tasks involuntarily, which was never the case. During the appeal hearing, in fact, one of the judges asked, "Where is the labor here?" It's therefore not far from the truth to assume that the New York appeal judges could be taking their time to understand all these rather confusing claims against R. Kelly, and to rectify the errors where appropriate. There is no doubt the New York case was botched right from the beginning, but should have ended in a not guilty verdict for R. Kelly if at all the laws had been followed and the truth allowed to prevail. According to Ryan King, both the government and its witnesses did tell many lies against the R&B king, all intended to have him locked up for the rest of his life. Destroy his career of 30 years was the mission, but only if things remain as they are will they have won, and it won't happen. Wickedness will never go unpunished. Conspiring and telling lies to shame someone or even to have them imprisoned is a crime and a serious offense punishable by the justice system. On the other hand, the New York appeal team may be taking longer than they should to deliberate in order to delay the shame the government prosecutors will likely have to deal with. The verdict ought to be overturned or a retrial issued, for the charges were all so wrong and misplaced. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sashahnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.